Pokémon Bestiary, Chapter 2, Endangered Species. A discussion of Pokémon should begin with their environment. Unfortunately for many species, some Pokémon are not in fact found in the environment. Many Pokémon over the years have, for some reason or another, gone extinct, leaving them forever in esoterica, but many still have been preserved through the dedicated efforts of conservationists the world over. I will discuss these presently by region. The following is sponsored by the efforts of the Pokémon Conservation Society, aka the PCS. Information on membership is in this book's index. One, Kanto. Kanto began the long tradition of entrusting endangered species to aspiring new trainers through their starter program. 3 families of Pokémon exist in the Kanto starter program, distributed via the lab in Pallet Town, where I happen to reside. The Bulbasaur family. Bulbasaur once occupied the woods of Kanto, but due to deforestation they have lost their habitat. Efforts have begun to replant their habitat, but until the forests regrow, they will be kept in the care of their trainers. The Venusaur line starts with Bulbasaur, continues to Ivysaur, and finishes with Venusaur. All 3 of these Pokémon are grass and poison type, and belong to the monster and grass egg groups. Venusaur has both a Mega Evolution and a Gigantamax form. Bulbasaur is a small quadruped, standing a bit less than 1 meter high. It has a closed bulb on its back that grows as it evolves and grows stronger. It is cheerful and trusting and loves sunlight. Like many grass types, it can go long periods without food, subsisting via photosynthesis. Ivysaur stands a meter tall and evolves when the bud on its back expands to grow leaves and a flower. It also develops the ability to use prehensile vines. Venusaur stands at 2 meters tall, contributed to by the growth on its back, transforming into a massive tree. Venusaur can fully subsist on photosynthesis due to its massive plant growth. The bulb on its back can close, but that is rare due to its need for sunlight. The scent of its flowering tree also has a lovely aroma, but it is toxic for humans to eat. During Mega Evolution and Gigantamaxing, the plant on its back grows even more massive temporarily, as do the vines it is able to use prehensilely. The Charmander family. Charmander once lived in mountainous regions, but those regions became overrun by Rhydon and Rhyhorn, which have aggressed Charizard to near extinction. Hunting efforts have been able to restabilize these communities, leaving Charmander and Charizard in the care of trainers. The Charizard line begins with Charmander, continues to Charmeleon, and finishes with Charizard. All 3 are fire type, and Charizard gains the flying type. They all belong to the monster and dragon egg groups. Charizard has 2 Mega Evolutions and a Gigantamax form. Mega Charizard X gains the dragon type instead of the flying type. Charmander stands half a meter tall and possesses a flaming tail. If the fire is extinguished, it is said that it will perish, but a Charmander's tail has never been observed going out, even in the rain. Charmander's line seems distressed when the tail is rained on, however, and trainers should also be careful, as Charmander tend to be careless about its tail. Charmeleon's head takes a more tough shape and gains giant claws. Charizard grows dramatically in size and gains wings. Some Charizard grow to nearly 2 meters tall. Charizard are hot-headed and aggressive, their breath able to melt boulders. Its disposition can be read by how intensely its tail glows. Mega Charizard comes in 2 forms. X form, which turns its skin black and blue, and turns its fire blue, and Y, which gives it a more aerodynamic look and faster speed. Both varieties are deadly. Gigantamax Charizard's wings become engulfed in flame, and merely standing near it can cause deadly heat. The Squirtile family. Squirtile occupied freshwater lakes of Kanto, but during an event several decades ago, saltwater from the Southern Ocean encroached into their habitats. Regrettably, their habitat has been lost and relocation efforts have failed. Luckily, they are flourishing in urban areas with their new trainers. The Blastoise line begins with Squirtile, moves to Wartortle, and finishes with Blastoise. They're all water-type and belong to the Monster and Water 1 egg groups. Blastoise has a Mega Evolution and Gigantamax form. Squirtile stands half a meter high and possesses a large shell. It is cheerful and fearless due to its natural defenses. The shell also is exceptionally aerodynamic, making the Squirtle line excellent swimmers. Wartortle becomes even more confident in disposition and gains tufts of fur on its ears and tail. Blastoise are immense, standing 1.5 meters tall with a weight of 85 kilos. It also gains shell cannons, which can expel stored water at high pressure. It also uses the cannons to propel itself backwards through the water, which is exceptional to witness. During Mega Evolution, Blastoise gains a large cannon as well as 2 cannons on its arms. As a result, it cannot withdraw into its shell, but gains massive firepower. Its Gigantamax form gives its shells massive artillery. Johto. Kanto's neighbors to the east, Johto, were quick to adopt the starter program as they have long been in touch with nature and tradition. As such, conservation efforts in the region even surpass Kanto, many endangered species being preserved wholesale. Currently, 3 species exist in captivity. The Chikorita line. Chikorita and Meganium are known for their lovely aromas. Unfortunately, this made them prime targets for predation. Once bird Pokémon such as Hoot Hoot and Noctowl began to appear in greater numbers, the Chikorita family was nearly hunted to extinction. Chikorita have adapted to urban life, particularly in Johto, where sun is abundant and the air is fresh. The Meganium line begins with Chikorita, then Bayleaf, then Meganium. They are all pure grass type and belong to the monster and grass egg groups. They are some of the most docile in the monster group. Chikorita have large leaves on their heads which collect photosynthesis. They are trusting and docile, but by no means weak. They grow to be approximately 1 meter tall and require frequent sun and water. Care for them is congruent to a plant. Bayleaf grows leaves on its neck as well as bulks in size and muscle. They are excellent at pulling carts, but can be stubborn. They begin to smell sweet at this age, like flowers. They are very popular since their scent is hypoallergenic. Meganium grow to be nearly 2 meters tall, much of this height in their long necks. Their neck leaves turn into an alluring scented flower and are used in aromatherapy. They also pollinate flowers with their antennae, and their breath can assist in reviving dead plant tissue. The Cyndaquil line. Cyndaquil and Typhlosion used to live in hot areas, but climate change and the decline of volcanic activity in the area caused their habitats to become unviable. The Cyndaquil in domesticity must be selectively bred to adapt to colder climates. The Typhlosion line begins with Cyndaquil, then Quilava, and finally Typhlosion. They are all pure fire type and belong to the field egg group. Cyndaquil, much like Charmander, has a coat that is conductive to fire. It must be handled with care, as its back will flare up suddenly. Trainers are given burn heals for themselves to use. Many Cyndaquil are unaware that fire harms their loved ones, and often flares up when it feels threatened. They are very small, at only 1/2 meter tall. Quilava gain control over their flames and stop burning their trainers carelessly. Typhlosion's fire, while intense, is controllable. Unfortunately, their temperament is somewhat truculent, and if angered, they will take it out on anything nearby. They are dramatically larger than Cyndaquil at about 2 meters tall. The Totodile line. Totodile's original habitat were marshes in the Sinnoh region, but upon outcompetition by species such as Buizel and Shellos, it was relocated to Johto, where it lives peacefully with Wooper. While their numbers increase, they are given to trainers. The Feraligatr line begins with Totodile, then Croconaw, then Feraligatr. They are all pure water type and belong to the Monster and Water 1 egg groups. Totodile show one another affection using their powerful jaws. Thick hides prevent totodiles from being hurt by this, but trainers aren't so lucky. Beware of their jaws. Croconaw are much more mature, but still very bite-happy. They often lose teeth, but they grow back very quickly. Alligator grow to massive size and are muscular at more than 2 meters, but their jaws are their most impressive feature. In their natural habitats, their jaws clamp around foes, and they often shake prey to death. Even though they are somewhat wild, they are loyal to their trainers. Hoenn. The Hoenn region was an early adopter of the starter system. Due to development, many species were pushed out of their environments, but many electric-type Pokémon found new homes in cities such as Mauville. These species are under protection. Trico line. Trico's original habitat was near Fortree City, and the reason for their decline is unknown, but it is likely that it is due to their sensitivity to the environment. The Sceptile family moves from Trico to Grovyle to Sceptile. Sceptile possesses a Mega Evolution. They are all pure grass. Mega Sceptile gains the Dragon typing, and they all belong to the Monster and Dragon Egg groups. Trico stands proudly at half a meter tall. Its tail is comprised of leaves, and it climbs trees easily, with its sticky digits and claws at the bottom of its feet. Trainers lose track of them because they climb the walls of homes. Grovyle gains a red coloration on the stomach and foliage on its wrists and head. They are cool and collected. They are able to move exceptionally quick. Sceptiles stand at a half a meter or more and retain the collected demeanor of Grovyle. The leaves on their tails are exceptionally sharp, and they grow bulbs on their backs that resemble fruit that store nutrients. Mega Sceptile's leaves grow even sharper, and its tail gains a pointed tip. They are deadly fighters, but their sharp leaves are more often used to climb, and seldom become riled enough in the wild to get into combat. Torchic line. Torchic's life cycle is heavily based in societal hierarchies. When a rock slide on Mount Chimney killed the Blaziken in the region, a generation of Torchic and Combusken were left without leaders. This generation was left unable to develop, causing a decline. Raising new Blaziken has been entrusted to the trainers of Hoenn. The Blaziken family moves from Torchic to Combusken to Blaziken. Blaziken has a Mega Evolution. Torchic is Fire-type, while Combusken and Blaziken are Fire-fighting, and all belong to the Field Egg group. Torchic are particularly naive adolescents. Upon hatching, they undergo imprinting, which bonds them to either their parents or trainers. This bond stays with them until they are developed. Female Torchic, who have smaller plumage, lay eggs that are a delicacy in the region, particularly in Lava Ridge Town, and are an ingredient in the Hoenn-famous lava cookies. Torchic are warm to the touch and make good partners to young children. Combusken are fully mature Torchic. They are combative, fighting with their groupmates. They prefer their own kind and do not fight small specimens. Blaziken stand tall as a man at 2 meters. They are fast and efficient, and their wrists burn when they are in fights. They happily take on foes much larger than them, and fiercely protect their groups. Its legs are especially strong, able to leap many times their own height. Mega Blaziken gain even more power, their bodies pushed to the limit, their wrists burning exceptionally strong, and sometimes out of control. Mudkip line. Mudkip was pushed from their habitat due to pollution of Hoenn's recent urbanization. They are raised only in captivity. Mudkip evolves into Marshstomp, then Swampert. Mudkip is the water type, and Marshstomp and Swampert are water ground. They all belong to the Monster and Water 1 egg groups. Swampert has a Mega Evolution. Mudkip's head fin is exceptionally sensitive, on air but particularly water. They are surprisingly strong and are able to move large rocks to dig deep to sleep. They enjoy cool, muddy environments. Marshstomp are larger and grow to be bipedal. While they are slower in the water than Mudkip, they are much stronger. They have a cheerful disposition. Swampert stand 1.5 meters tall, but on their back legs they are nearly 2. They are strong and stalwart, and have exceptional eyesight in the murky waters where they live. It is also sensitive to changes, which make it able to sense storms and environmental hazards. This leaves them unable to adapt to even slight changes in their habitat. Mega Swampert gains an incredible amount of muscle mass, most of which is used defensively and for its tank-like power. Sinnoh. Sinnoh is a diverse region and has many endangered species in the starter program. Contestants from this region are particularly formidable in the Pokémon League. Turtwig Line. Pollution poisoned the lakes which Turtwig drank from, due to factories and power plants using water for energy. Turtwig evolves into Grottle, into Torterra. Turtwig and Grottle are grass type, and Torterra is grass ground. They all belong to the monster and grass egg groups. Turtwig is a small beast, standing a foot tall with a sprout on its head. It is as though Squirtle's shell and Bulbasaur's bulb were combined. Though it does appear to have a shell, the shell is in fact made of soil. Sometimes small plants take root in the shell, which Turtwig enjoys. Grottle are larger, and the soil shells begin to grow bushes. Savvy trainers plant berry bushes here. Torterra are massive, weighing 310 kilos, or nearly 700 pounds. Torterra are not very active, some remaining inert for centuries. They can grow to supermassive size, some dangerously so. Legend says that cities once traveled on Torterra's backs. Trees and large bushes often grow in their shells. Bird Pokémon and small creatures take residence there. In a bygone age, portable farms were begun on their backs. Chimchar Line. Chimchar, while endangered, has always existed domestically. Their original habitat is unknown. Unsanctioned fighting rings have caused their numbers to dwindle. Chimchar evolves into Monferno into Infernape. They are all fire-type, with Monferno and Infernape gaining the fighting type. They belong to the field and human-like groups. Chimchar is agile and acrobatic. Like Charmander, its tail is on fire. Unlike Charmander, though, its fire is intentionally set and can be safely extinguished. Gas in its belly allows Chimchar to start fires on command. Monferno gains a prehensile tail and loves to climb. Infernape are seasoned fighters, the flames on its head burning brightly to intimidate foes. They are acrobatic in battle and difficult to hit, using all of their limbs balancing on their tails. They are favorites among Pokémon League combatants, but also have a niche in the entertainment industry. Piplup Line. Piplup's original habitat is now viable to reintroduce them to. Their numbers are being increased presently. Piplup evolves into Prinplup into Empellion. They are all water-type, but Empellion is steel-type. They all belong to the Water One and field egg groups. Piplup are very proud but clumsy. It is difficult for trainers to raise them, since they are far more trusting of their own species, but they are independent enough for this not to be an issue. Prinplup are reclusive and generally found away from others of its species until it mates. They are all very proud, and trainers should be advised that they are frequently uncooperative, but if deference is offered, it will be more receptive. Empellion are less sedentary, but no less prideful. Its swimming power is unmatched, its fins tipped with strong metal. It is imperative to be treated with respect, as slights to its pride or embarrassment will cause it to lash out. In the wild, the Empellion with the largest crests are the leaders. Unova. Unova is infamous for its pollution and urbanization. As such, many species from Unova have gone extinct wholesale. Luckily, the reluctance to conserve species has, in recent years, softened, and they have recently entered the starter program. Snivy Line. Snivy and its lines rely on specific fruits from their natural habitats they were outcompeted for by humans, leaving them starving. Snivy evolves into Servine into Serperior. They are all pure grass and belong to the field and grass egg groups. Snivy, colloquially known as Smug Leaf, is a common sight in rural towns in Unova. They are excellent gardeners. They are calm and haughty and grow leaves on their tails, which they meticulously care for. Servine's limbs shorten and their foliage grows longer. They are very vain. Serperior lose their legs but gain length, growing to be 10 feet or 3 meters long. It's a common misconception that they also lose their arms, but close inspection reveals that this is not the case. Their arms are simply folded, usually behind the back. They gain more markings and foliage and are expert gardeners. They can be uncooperative and proud, but ultimately they form strong bonds. One glare can terrify their prey. Tepig Line. Tepig and its line were outcompeted for resources by humans as well, driven into urban areas. Feral Tepig are pests. Tepig evolves into Pignite into Embor. They're all fire, and Pignite and Embor gain the fighting type. They all belong to the Field Egg group. Tepig are small but hardy. They are used to forage for berries and roast their food before eating it. Its nose is able to breathe fire. Pignite gain considerable mass and enjoy competitions. Often it will shove its own trainer, but this is to be friendly. Their fights are dangerous, and in urban areas they cause destruction. Embor are even larger, their markings indicating status in their groups. They are cooperative but combative, settling that most of their disagreements with wrestling matches. They are loyal but should be discouraged from aggressing trainers. Oshawott line. This sea-dwelling family once lived in freshwater areas, but were driven out again due to out-competition for food and resources, as well as water pollution. Samurott evolves from Dewott and Oshawott. They are all water-type and field egg groups. Oshawott is diminutive and shy, just 1 foot tall. They keep shells on their stomachs to use as rudimentary tools. The shells usually come from shelter in the wild, but trainers give Oshawott durable metal or plastic shells. Dewott also use shells, but they use them to train. They begin concerning themselves with discipline, training hard. Samurott lose their bipedality, but grow to be 1.5 meters tall. They gain layered armor and large beards. They carry swords made of shell and bone in their forelegs, and are fierce combatants. Kalos. Kalos, unfortunately, has not committed to conservation efforts. This is regrettable, as they are nearly as aggressive with urbanization as Unova. Instead, their starter program is populated with 3 species that they already have been domesticating for centuries. In a way, they are the first adapters of the starter program, but their efforts are not in the interest of conservation. Instead, each of its starters have a niche in the Kaloshan society. Chespin line. Chespin have been participants in Kaloshan's Pokémon League. They have been raised for centuries to be fighters. It is believed that Chestnut were not fighting type before ancient Colossians began domesticating them. Chespin evolves into Quilladin into Chestnut. They are all grass type, as I alluded, and Chestnut is also fighting type. They belong to the field group. Chespin resemble chestnuts with large organic wood on their heads. They're resilient and can use their spines aggressively. Quilladin gain the same carapace on their whole torso and heads, growing to be oddly proportioned. Their quills get even sharper, and they are able to roll around. Chestnut are proud fighters. Not only can they move massive boulders, they are able to withstand huge force with the shells on their backs. Fennekin line. Fennekin are perigee bred to compete in Colossian beauty pageants. As such, they are less common among trainers. Unfortunately, Fennekin rarely evolve, as Braxian and Delphox are not prized for their beauty. Many problems have arisen from their domestication, such as the tufts in their ears impairing hearing. Mutt Fennekin are much more healthy. Fennekin evolves into Braxian into Delphox. They are all fire type, and Delphox gains the psychic type. They belong to the field egg group. Fennekin's ear tufts, when trimmed, actually help it hear. Their digestion is very strong. Often they're observed eating sticks and twigs, able to burn them in their stomachs to become less inedible. Still, a traditional diet is preferred to keep it healthy. Its ear fluff is cute, but should be handled with care, as it is quite hot. Specialized shears exist to trim them. Braxian become bipedal, and they collect twigs in their tails for snacks and use of tools. Their ear fur gets much finer. Delphox are fascinating creatures. They use their twigs like magic wands, and it's said they can see the future in the flames of their wands. Not only can it produce fire, but it's powerfully pyrokinetic, able to manipulate its shape. Groups of Delphox can create impressive fire shows. Froakie line. Froakie's line is used to produce foam and bubbles in barbershops and grooming salons. Colossians have objected to the cruelty of this, as well as the tendency to discard Greninja once they evolve. Greninja are often found homeless, wandering from town to town. Froakie evolves into Frogadier into Greninja. They are all Water type, and Greninja gains the Dark type. They belong to the Water 1 egg group. Froakie is small, just a foot tall, but can produce massive amounts of bubbles. Its large eyes are sharp, and it is somewhat wary. Frogadier can produce even more bubbles at higher pressure for a power wash. It also doesn't mind swallowing soaps to discharge as soapy bubbles. They are excellent climbers and very quick. Greninja are a famous icon of the Kalos region, although they were abandoned by their trainers. Their long tongues prevent bubble blowing, but are incredibly prehensile. They form water shuriken and precise when striking prey. They are a nuisance in rural areas, as they steal food and invade habitats. When particularly bonded to a trainer, they can change their form to resemble them, and despite their roguish nature, trainers who keep them earn staunch partners. Alola. Alola have been participating in the conservation efforts for the longest of any region to date. They have very few endangered species as a result, so their starter program is populated by beloved icons of their culture. Rowlet line. Rowlet's line are kept as pets. Rowlet evolves into Dartrix into Decidui. Rowlet and Dartrix are grass flying, and Decidui is grass ghost. They belong to the flying egg group. Rowlet is a common pet. They grow cute grass bow ties, and their heads can swivel nearly 360 degrees. It sleeps all day in the sun, gathering photosynthetic energy and spending it at night. It loves small nests comfy in trainers' bags. Dartrix gain larger ties and a polite disposition. Dartrix used to be the final evolution of Rowlet, but in domestication they began evolving into Decidui. Decidui are Dartrix who excel in their natural ability to shoot arrow-like quills. It seldom misses. Their ghost typing is somewhat mysterious, and rumor says that they only evolve after Dartrix die, but this myth is incorrect. Litten line. Litten's species is a strange case. Like Rowlet, until they were domesticated, they only evolved into Torracat. Incineroar only recently began to appear after Torracat got popular in Alola's Island Challenge. Litten and Torracat are Fire-type, where their final evolution Incineroar is Dark-type. They all belong to the Field Egg group. Litten groom themselves with fire, comfortable at high temperature. They are popular house pets in cold climates. A cheap way to keep them warm is to have one in your lap. They are slow to trust and very fickle. Torracat are playful and sly, used as pest control in some areas. They love feasting on Alolan Raticate. A bell-like protrusion from its neck indicates mood to other Torracat and its trainer. Incineroar only began evolving in the past few decades. Particularly strong Torracat evolves into these 2-meter-tall muscular behemoths. Incineroar, while loyal, fight dirty and ignore their trainers in favor of seeking their own fights. Its flaming belt indicates its mood like Torracat's bell. If Incineroar loses a fight, it will become angry and bear a grudge. While not noble, they are quite kind, especially to their trainers. Poplio line. Poplio's line are employed in circuses the world over. They love entertaining and are incredibly friendly and trusting. Poplio and Brionne are water, where Primarina is water fairy. They all belong to the Water 1 and Field groups. Poplio is friendly and sweet, a favorite of new trainers. It can blow balloons from its nose, which, while cute, can be dangerous due to how pressurized they become. Brionne are similarly friendly, becoming concerned with entertaining others. If it doesn't get attention, it becomes dejected. Primarina are lovely with singing voices and love to perform tricks in the water and out. They look delicate, but in reality are quite formidable. Its song can control water and bubbles it produces. It is unknown how they do this. They are somewhat mesmerizing, and people have become addicted to seeing Primarina shows. Galar. Galar currently does not participate in the starter program, but it has sent an application with several candidates for conservation. Their region is beset particularly badly by air pollution. Grookey line. Grookey's family is unable to live in the wild due to air pollution. They are used in the music industry as musicians and are less at risk due to existing domestication. Grookey evolves into Thwackey into Rillaboom. Rillaboom has a Gigantamax form. They are all pure grass and belong to the field and grass egg groups. Grookey uses sticks to make rhythms. Large groups can be heard from miles around. It is said that these rhythms help the plants in the area grow. Thwackey also uses sticks percussively, but its musical abilities are to compete and outmatch its peers to gain mates. Rillaboom are excellent drummers. Many are parts of bands in Galar. Gigantamax Rillaboom are a common sight at concerts, using elaborate wooden drums that are a staple of Galarian rock. Incidentally, my son Oak was once in a rock band in Galar himself, though he'd never tell you. The Scorbunny line. Scorbunny are not endangered, but do not exist in the wild. Scorbunny evolves into Raboot into Cinderace. They are all fire-type and belong to the field and human-like egg groups. Cinderace has a Gigantamax version. Scorbunny are hyperactive. Their feet get hot when they run about, and they love to kick with their strong legs. Raboot participate in a team sport from Galar known as football, known in Unova as soccer. Humans play soccer too, but Raboot are much more entertaining to watch. Cinderace also participate in football, their massive stamina and leg strength contributing to their skill. Their Gigantamax versions see them pilot a massive fireball that their hot feet create. This fireball is in their full control, and this form is banned in Galarian football. Sobble line. Sobble is endangered for strange reasons. It is simply seemingly too timid for its own environment. Many Sobble perish in the wild simply from starving to death. Humans have begun taking them in for safety. Sobble evolves into Drizzile into Inteleon. They are all water type and belong to the Water One and Field Egg groups. Sobble was once thought to be a baby Pokémon, but they are capable of breeding. They are rare in the wild, so Drizzile was once assumed to be their first stage. Sobble have no natural predators, but cry very loudly when scared. These tears have similar effects to tear gas and cause crying in their victims as well. It is also capable of camouflage, making them even harder to find. Drizzile lose their wariness, but retain their abilities. Inteleon are similar to Greninja. They are capable water wielders who use water weapons. They also wander from place to place, but their wandering is more natural, and they often do jobs for people in exchange for payments of berries. Inteleon's Gigantamax form sees them operate a large blind from which they shoot water at foes from safety. Its water gun is incredibly precise. These are all the species currently part of conservation efforts by the PCS, but many Pokémon have unfortunately gone extinct in some areas or completely, some in ancient times, some recently. Pokémon must be maintained where possible. Biodiversity is essential to continued life on this planet to maintain the planet's homeostasis. Pollution and crowding by humans are the largest reasons these Pokémon have to be conserved. These problems will not be solved by our efforts alone. This is why I have placed this chapter so early in my bestiary. Ecologists and biologists should not be the only ones to shoulder the burden of conservation. Contact your PCS chapter today to find out how you can help protect these species. In the following chapters of this tome, we will discuss Pokémon by species and region and location, such as the food webs and environments. We will start the series with the Kanto region. See you next time. This has been Professor Redwood.